Okay, it's recording. So yeah, hi, welcome everyone. Um, I am super awkward today. I apologize. Yeah, but this is our second Readers Break the Internet event, and it's just a great way for authors to connect, for readers to hang out and meet with everybody. So we can give people a minute or two if they want to come join. I think we're gonna, like I said, everyone can share and post the link if they want to. I do have it in our event page, so if you share the event page, people should be able to find it. And if the link doesn't work, there's also a passcode and meeting ID if they want to come on. So,
Okay, I'm just gonna go in there and post it on my Facebook. So you,
I don't know.
Amanda, you posted it in our group.
I think she's doing it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I just did. Sorry. It wouldn't let me double post it. And Emily's in your group since she was up first in alphabetically. So we're good.
Okay. Sounds good. Michael, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay, perfect. Go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us about your book.
Perfect. My name is James Michael Orr. I am an author from Mount Pleasant, Texas, and East Texas. A lot of people know where that is, but it's a wonderful little town. I've been writing since 2020. Actually, I was published in 2020. I've been writing a little bit longer than that. And today I'm going to be reading from my first book. This is called The Butler's Apprentice. And it's a series that I wrote just a little bit about me. I decided to start writing because my two oldest daughters, Jillian and Joy, were becoming teenagers, and I wanted to try to find a way to relate to them a little bit better. So I wrote about a teenage girl, and it was a very interesting experience having a teenage girl floating around in your head when you're a 40-something-year-old guy. But it really gave me a lot of inspiration, and I've written 3 books in this series. My daughter Joy actually drew the cover for it and draws all of my covers, does all of my artwork. She does a great job. So it's kind of a family affair. I even wrote a book with my son last year called The Sacred Leaf. So I'm going to be reading an excerpt from The Butler's Apprentice. And this is just to give you a little idea. The heroine's name is Jinx. She's a young girl trying to make it her way in the world, but she struggles because she's short. She's not as good as some of the other girls in her class trying to get into the military. She gets a help from the mysterious butler of Safe Haven, and when she does, he puts her in these crazy tests. And this is a part of the test that she's at. She meets a guy named Kith. He's like a wild sort of clansman, like a tribesman, and he's on the hunt for this creature called the Uglath. And this is the scene where they're fighting this scary looking demonic looking creature. And so this is sort of the action scene that I wanted to share with you guys. So I'll begin reading now. The Uglath was a terrible sight. Red eyes, dark body, small horns protruding from its head. It looked like an enormous cat, like a lion, but sleeker. Its strong muscles rippled with anticipation, and its relatively large teeth dripped with saliva, no doubt hungry for its next meal. The growl emanating from its mouth as it pounced was horrible, almost like the shouting of a man enraged in battle, but more menacing. Jinx barely moved out of the way in time to dodge the thing's attack as it hit the stone they were hiding behind, instead, nearly hitting its head. Jinx and Kith immediately ran in opposite directions, Kith preparing his spear and Jinx her bow. Kith started yelling and whooping in some sort of battle call, and the thing leaped after him instantly. Kith brought his spear up, but the thing was upon him before he could strike. Jinx cried out, loosing an arrow at the thing as fast as she could. The Uglath knocked Kith down, and she saw him fall hard. The arrow found its mark, however, right on the backside of the creature. It turned, roaring in pain, and started coming after Jinx. She sprinted towards the cavern, hoping to get behind the fire as cover from the horrible creature's attack. As she did, she loosed an arrow, but this time the Uglath was ready, dodging the arrow and continuing its pursuit. Jinx tried to look over to Kith, but she didn't have time to see him before the thing was upon her. She rolled through the flames, hoping she wouldn't get burnt in the process. She was able to dodge the flames with a few embers popping into her clothes, but nothing caught fire. Right before it pounced, the Uglath seemed to hesitate. Apparently, it did not like fire. Instead, the creature turned its attention to Kith. Jinx shot at the Uglath with an arrow, but missed again. The beast moving.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on my thing.
She couldn't hit the target.
Yeah.
Equally, she could see that Kith had righted himself in the few seconds she gave him and now aimed the spear at it. Jinx knew she'd have to help him. So bracing herself again, she rolled through the flames to help Kith. This time her clothes caught on fire and she had to roll to extinguish them. Heat burned her skin, but a second later, the fire was extinguished. Kith was circling the beast, holding it at bay as best he could with the spear. Jinx knocked another arrow, releasing it towards the creature. This time it found its mark. Right in the side, the arrow buried itself deep into the Uglath. The creature yelped and gave Kith an opening as it seemed to focus for a moment on the pain. Kith jabbed at it with his spear, piercing its shoulder and drawing blood as it howled again. The thing angrily pounced in a sudden burst of speed, swiping the spear away and knocking Kith once more to the ground. It bit deep into his shoulder, and it was Kith's turn to yell. Jinx rushed over to Kith's side, dropping the bow and arrows, and pulled out her dagger. "Ramask," she said as the dagger came out of its sheath. Unafraid to risk her life, she threw herself at the creature, stabbing it in its hindquarters and drawing its full attention. Wildly, it turned towards Jinx and swiped her arm. Pain shot through her shoulder as its claws bit into her flesh through the padding of her leather armor. It didn't get a deep cut, but it was enough for Jinx to fall, her dagger thrown from her. The thing was upon her at once, ready to bite through her neck. Its weight pinned her down, and she had to fight to lift her arm in a final defense. Suddenly, the dagger that had been thrown reappeared in her hand. She remembered the magic enchantment Gresham said was upon it, that it would return to her even if it was ever lost. She worked her hand free right as the thing was about to finish her off and stabbed the creature in the eye. The devil cat howled again, this time in a kind of wincing pain reserved for a dying animal rather than a wounded one. It let go of Jinx, wildly thrashing about, trying to remove the dagger from its eye. Jinx looked up just in time to see Kith, deeply wounded but still on his feet, as he launched the spear into the creature's throat. After a final mighty howl, the Uglath dropped to the ground. Kith collapsed, and though Jinx tried to get up, the pain in her shoulder prevented her. Determined, she fought through the pain, rolled over, pushed herself up, and walked over to Kith. He was severely wounded. Jinx knew that. Deep bite marks on his shoulder dripped blood freely, and Jinx realized if she didn't stop the bleeding, he would die. Jinx grabbed her blanket and her dagger, now in her hand once more, and tore pieces of it to make a tourniquet. She pushed the remaining cloth against the wound and let it soak up blood as best she could. Kith opened his eyes and smiled. "The Uglath?" he asked. "Dead. You killed it," Jinx replied. "I am a warrior now," Kith said, smiling deeply and coughing as he tried. So that's the end of my excerpt. If you want to read more, then you can get The Butler's Apprentice Part 1, The Gleaning, and it's on Amazon.com or any other internet source you'd like to find. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Everyone is open for asking questions. If you have any questions about his work, future projects, or just want to know what he's reading or doing, go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question. You mentioned your family. I was wondering what your children think about you writing and what they think about you writing a teenage girl.
You know, they love it. My daughters, the character was created after them. And so I think they've always been so supportive of it. And my youngest daughter, JC, actually has an idea for a book, and she wants me to help her write it. My daughter Joy does all the artwork, like I said before, for it. In fact, we're going to a Comic-Con this coming weekend at Lubbock at Hub City Comic Con, and all of them are going, and they're all going to be participating in the con. My oldest daughter, Jillian, is helping merchandise. My youngest daughter is making clay jewelry, and she's firing it and making it into jewelry that can be sold. And my son it's his debut of the book that we just wrote together. So it's a family affair. Like they're all very supportive of it and encouraging of it.
That's awesome. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What's next for you? What's coming down soon?
Well, I've got one that I wrote for the November deal, NaNoWriMo. If y'all are familiar with that, it's a national writing deal. It's The Maiden of Wood and Steel. It's about a wooden golem who gets possessed by a soul of a woman, or it's actually placed into her after she dies, and she has to sort of reimagine all of her senses and stuff, and try and find out what happened to the young princess that she was defending when she died. So it's kind of a little weird for me in terms of story, but I just came up with the idea. It popped in my head one day. I'm like, I want to write this. So it's a shorter book. It's almost like a novella, but that's coming out next pretty soon. I've just got to get it edited by my publishing company. So I'm very excited about it. And then book 4 of The Butler's Apprentice, I'm working hard on that right now and hopefully finish that soon.
That's pretty awesome.
Busy.
Always.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of your books are really exciting. So they got a lot of good action.
I
Where
like
where can we find them?
Amazon.com has all of them. If you go to James Michael Orr, if you go to The Butler's Apprentice, if you go to The Sacred Leaf, all of them are very easy to find. That comes right up when you put it in. But I'm also on like Walmart and Goodreads and all that other stuff. Like my publishing company does a good job of putting me on all the different circuits, so it's pretty easy to find my book on the internet. So I do a search of myself once in a while. You know, every author does that. So, but that's the easiest place is Amazon.
So you say you're publishing company, so you're not indie published, you have a publisher that publishes you?
Yes, so they're kind of the local. They're from Lubbock. They're called Ironay Brothers Publishing, and I was able to connect with them through a friend of mine who said, "Hey, I know some people from this school that we both knew about," and she said, I can connect you with them if you'd like." I said, sure, you know, and I ended up having a lot of mutual friends with the people who are in the company. And it's a small company, but they give me complete independence on what I can write. And I'm sort of hobby level because I have a pretty demanding job. So right now it's been working out for me to work with them, and they always do a good job of publishing my books. So
Right.
it's been a fun adventure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Ivy, you're up next.
Oh, it's me. Okay. My name is Ivy. I'm from Casey Mo. So I'm in the belly button of the United States, if you will. I have two daughters. They are twins. They're 8, so life has been extremely crazy right now. But I am sharing with you guys Meddling with Madness. It is a Alice in Wonderland retelling. So this one follows Alice, the main character, Alice Liddell. It's mainly about her and her long lineage. Sorry, I've been talking a lot today. So the Liddell name has been cursed. So all of the females in that line are cursed with visions of Wonderland. Her, on the other hand, finds this place extremely fascinating. I am also a Why Choose author, so this is a Why Choose book. So if you love Why Choose, this is definitely the thing for you. So I just picked a random spot to read at the beginning, where she sort of falls through the looking glass and is introduced into the world of Wonderland. So here I go. I look back to Alex and he nods. Go be the savior of Wonderland, he says proudly before pushing me the rest of the way through. I look back to find Laurel reaching for me, but it's too late. I'm falling down, 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 as if through a rabbit hole. I smile, remembering the words from the book. The only way to achieve the impossible is to believe it is possible. I think I have finally achieved what was impossible for every Alice before me. I believed it was possible. It feels like I've been falling forever before I hit something soft, then fly into the air and land on the damp ground. I lay there for a moment, grumbling. Groaning, I force myself up from the ground, wiping my hands on my pants. I sit back on my heels, looking around. I laugh. I'm definitely not in my world anymore. There is a variety of colored mushrooms all around me, which range in size. I realize now that I had initially landed on a purple mushroom, around the size of a horse, I would guess. I look up in the sky and find large fish. There is a fish swimming across the sky, but they look as if they're made of a weird substance. They're called jellyfish, a masculine voice says behind me. I squeal and whip around to find nothing. Curiouser and curiouser. I slowly look back over the mushrooms and see a smile. Would it be considered a smile if it's quite large and attached to nothing? I furrow my brows, thinking about all of the Alice in Wonderland books I've read. My favorite has to be the Reverse Harem books, though. My favorite is a series from C.M. Stunich. She really had a way with the world, and I loved every moment of it. Although many would say it's a little bloody, well, shattering teacups, I hope I'm not in a Wonderland similar to that. Thinking about the characters in Wonderland, I remember who the smile belongs to. Cheshire? The smile seems to grow, and the canines look a bit sharp. A head, then a body, then a tail shimmer into view. I gasp at the sight. He's like a combination of the old Chesh from the stories and the Chesh from the Tim Burton movie. He has silky grayish black hair with ombre stripes that start off blue and then fade into pink. His eyes, though, are breathtaking. They are a deep purple with slitted pupils. He disappears again, then reappears on top of my bag. You know my name? How does a surface being know my name? He asks suspiciously. Surface being? I question, tilting my head to mirror his. You are not from Wonderland. A Wonderland being is a Wonderland being, and a surface being is a surface being. I huff out a laugh, trying to make sense of his gibberish. So I'm a surface being because I'm not a Wonderland being? I ask. I suppose you would be a Wonderland being since you were able to get into Wonderland. But the real question is, why are you here? Shifting into a more comfortable position, I say, well, it's a long story, actually. Cheshire tilts his head and then erupts into a puff of purple glitter. I squeal when the glitter clears and find a male in his place. His ears, which are on top of his head, flatten at my squeal. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so loud. I didn't know you could change into a male. Yes, most shifters here can shift into a more human form. So you're a shifter, I ask? I run my gaze over him and realize he's quite muscular. His stripes in cat form seem to be in his hair color in human form, and his eyes are still purple and slitted. He must not care about his modesty because he's only wearing a loose-fitted pants. My eyes meet his, and I feel my cheeks flush with heat. His eyes seem to glitter at my question, and that he caught me checking him out. But he nods and says, You were going to tell me a story? Right. So my name is Alice. I'm from the surface, as you pointed out. The females in my family have this sort of curse. I guess you could say we have this connection to Wonderland. Usually the females go mad due to the overwhelming dreams of Wonderland and not believing it's a real place. He points at me. You believed? I nod. I always thought this was a real place. Two of my brothers thought I would fall into madness like my mother, but my twin brother was the one who believed me when I told him everything. He was actually the one who pushed me the rest of the way through the mirror before my other brothers could stop me. That's it.
I love Alice in Wonderland so much. That's one of my favorites. I'm so excited about that.
What made you choose Alice as the one to do the retelling of? Because I'm working on a retelling. It's not Alice, but that what brought you to that one?
I really like the like fairy tales in general. I read like 2 or 3 Alice in Wonderland retellings, and I just loved that like idea of this different place, and all of these characters, and sort of remaking them as my own, but also keeping them like similar to the like original Alice in Wonderland itself. I was actually really like obsessive over like doing research over the original Alice in Wonderland itself, and trying to add in like Easter eggs from like the original Alice in Wonderland books, and like the characters in those books, the people that actually wrote the book, what the sisters were like, and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Is the
Who's your
Mad
favorite
Hatter
character
one
from
of the
Alice?
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I said, is the Mad Hatter one of the Why Choose?
Yes, so we have all of the characters. We have the twins, which are the Tweedles. We have Hatter, we have Chesh. Moore is the caterpillar, so he's a blue morpho butterfly. So you have all the characters and stuff like that, so it's really fun.
Very fun. I kind of I like the idea that she's dropping into a world that she is that is fully fantasized in her world. Like you said, like I remember the Cheshire Cat from the Tim Burton version. Like that character is saying that, but
Yeah.
you're adding that pop culture reference in
Yeah.
there. I was like, yeah, so it's like it, and I always like that because it helps establish like what kind of like reality is this? Is this the reality that the underworld exists and is separate from ours, or is this where like I'm ready to dive into to the Wonderland because I've read all the stories and
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
So which character is your favorite out of all the Alice in Wonderland characters?
I get that so many times. So okay, I'm a huge believer into Why Choose, but as a Why Choose author, you always have like those specific characters that just like really you put your heart and soul into as a Why Choose author. So in this one, I definitely put like a lot of like my own like blood, sweat, and tears, my personality into Chesh. And then I definitely sort of love the like broken characters too. So Hatter has a special place in my heart as well.
What is
Especially
Why
if you
Choose?
watched Once Upon a
Um,
Time.
Yeah. Why Choose Romance? Okay, so my best way, I always ask first, do you know what reverse harem is? And then if you don't know what reverse harem
I
is,
do.
I always
do.
use the reference of, okay, so reverse harem is just the other word for why choose. A lot of authors are switching to the why choose aspect of it. But yeah.
And Why Choose can be different. Why Choose can be multiple partners. It could be like multiple
Oh, I
interactions and then
understand.
choosing one.
Okay. I'm a little slow. It's not just
Yeah.
one. It's not just one love interest. It's many. I got
There's
it.
multiple,
many,
Lisa,
and it
there's
can be broken up
multiple.
many
I got it.
different ways.
I'm a little slow with the
Yeah.
with the romance terminology. I'm learning.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Ivy, I have a
I love
question.
that for you.
Yeah.
Do you kind of have a connection to anime? Do you like anime?
I love anime.
Because I was thinking this would be, I could see this book as a manga. I could see it into an anime because
Alice in
it's sort of
Borderland.
an isekai in a way. I mean, it's sort of like
I
being taken
mean,
to a
yeah,
different world. I mean, Alice in Wonderland was the original isekai. I mean, it really was. But I
Yeah.
can see that. I can see that influence. I could see that as an idea that somebody would pick up as an animator and make that into something really, really cool. Visually. So
Yeah,
I kind of picked up
I
on
love
that.
anime.
Yeah, totally agree. I have both my kids are going to study animation, and we live in a super anime household. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Same here.
I can totally see Cheshire as an anime boy. So
Yes.
Oh, I would love to see Hatter as an anime though. Like that would be so cool. I know my 8-year-old is doing a Spirited Away birthday, so we like anime too.
Oh,
Yeah,
My daughter
it's
just did a
lots of
Nezuko
creativity.
birthday.
I love that. That is so much fun.
yeah, my 22-year-old would do a Jujutsu Kaisen if she could, but she's 22, and it's like, yeah.
No, she
So
can't.
cool.
Gojo's Bay.
Yeah,
we did a
yeah.
Miyazaki for my kid, and I had an artist cookie friend do all of the Miyazakis as cookies. So we had Totoro, and we had,
It's
I mean,
so
all of them,
cool.
Spirited Away, and just absolutely beautiful because she's a wonderful cookie artist. I was like, I don't know if we can
That.
eat
I
these.
love that.
Well, my daughter, she always has like these massive parties, so we end up with like 50 people at our house.
Oh,
So,
God.
and then some. She's like super popular. So, uh, I don't know. She makes friends with everybody, and I'm like, she's over here telling me like, Mom, I want Chinese food or Japanese food or something. Like, we have to get something Asian for the party. And I'm like, okay, we'll see what we can do. Because I'm like, do I want to cook it all by hand or do I want to just like order it? you know? But I ended up spending her birthday's not even till January, and I spent like 3 hours the other day making tiny little soot sprites. So yeah,
That's
we
amazing.
have that. But I think that would be awesome to see yours as an anime. That'd be really fun.
That would be an excellent isekai anime. I would totally watch that.
It would just be so cool. Like we gotta find somebody to like get this movie. 'Cause that would be awesome.
Next Kickstarter.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be epic. That would be so cool. I love that.
Well, my kid does comics, so if you're interested and they know how to do that style,
Dude,
so
I'm all for it, man.
and the minute I tell them what it is, like the only thing, as long as some of the boys can kiss each other, I think they'll be fine.
Well, I do have MM in this one, so alrighty then.
Amanda's like, yes. But
Everybody can
my
love
kid
everybody.
loves the Alice in Wonderland. That was one of our birthday themes when they were 18, 19. I think we did Alice in Wonderland, and I dressed up as the caterpillar, but I was a Regency caterpillar, so it was very cute.
Amazing.
So if it does have MM in there, is it more polyamorous instead of reverse, instead of like why choose?
Well, that's
So
why
we
you say
usually do why choose. Yeah.
Yeah, why choose is usually polyam, but it's like it can be any of them.
No, there's different, because like polyamorous is like there's multiple relationships, because I'm polyamorous, so like there's different relationships.
I
like I like to differentiate. I like to differentiate because like if there's polyamorous representation, or is it a typical why choose, like is the main character the sun, or are they like the sun revolving, or is it like everyone is the shared universe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was wondering.
And that's
so
the
it's
thing,
not
is there
That you
variant
bring
why
that
choose.
up. So
Yeah,
like, is
there are
it
variant
more
why
polyamorous, or is it more why choose?
So the two characters have a relationship, but it's centered around her mainly.
Okay, so it's worth it. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
That's good for all of the authors to know. Now we know there is a difference. So yeah, it's always good because it's good when you have different representation to know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Well,
wait a minute.
and you never, that's why you always like have to figure it out, because like I have one that's a wide choose, but also is a full poly by the end. Like, everyone is in a relationship with everyone else and it is a mutual thing that's going on. But then you can have different types of poly. You can have, where one person has two relationships, and then, one
Right.
person only has a relationship with one of those individuals. And so, it can be, it's crazy. I like all the little
Yeah.
flashes, like, MFM, MMF.
Wait a minute. So your
Hold on.
book, just to be clear,
Mhm.
it's not young adult.
No. No.
Grown up all
None
the
of
way.
my books are
Okay,
young
I
adult.
didn't think
no.
that would fly. No,
No.
absolutely
No.
not. So things get a
No,
little,
I've read Ivy stuff.
they get a little spicy, so
No.
to speak, right?
No. Yes.
Very
Okay,
spicy.
so it's very spicy,
Not-
Alice in Wonderland. I got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Read it, Lisa. I think you should
You
read
read
it.
it? You know
No,
it?
I think you should read it.
You're trying to corrupt me. I know.
I
Yes,
am.
come
I'm
to
gonna
the dark
corrupt you.
side.
Do it. You know
We
what
can
I
keep you nice
love
and pretty in
about
your
when
YA
I
and but read your
forayed
dirty.
into reading romance was how much I love MM. Love MM. Like, eat it up.
Should I admit
Same.
that I'm not really a romance reader?
That's okay.
I mean, I love romantasy. Okay, that's me. I love romantasy. That's my thing.
It's your
I
thing.
haven't
That's
started
good.
reading romance until just recently. Like, yeah, I barely.
But I
like,
do like
before-
MM. I like MM rom-coms. I do. If I like a rom-com, I do love those. You know, I have a
What is
good
the
friend
name of-
who's written one, and his agent is trying to sell it, and it's amazing. And
Nice.
and I love Adam Sass, if you're familiar with him.
That's awesome. Any other questions? Nope. Guess it's me.
Do we have anything from the peanut gallery?
Oh my goodness. We could keep that going. I'm not a very good public speaker. This is me avoiding it.
I just want to say something. I'm not going to really be able to stay on too much past 9 because I'm on a vacation and my friend is like, she might pop in here, but I don't want to neglect her. And we're on a writing retreat, so we have some things we want to work on. So if that's okay, I'm going to just, hop off a little after 9. Just saying.
Well, then do you want to go now?
No, I don't need to. No.
Okay.
It's like I can read part of Island for you. Like I might have your whole shtick done by now.
I know you're my this is my super, this Amanda's like the captain of my street team. And also captain. And her other person that she's a captain of is downstairs. And was talking to her husband and might pop in here. We'll see.
Awesome.
No, I don't need to go first. I mean, I don't need to like get off it. It's not like a hard stop, but maybe I'll just, if it goes on much past 9, I think I'm gonna kind of.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I am Abby Woodland. I am here in Mesa, which is why the times are all weird when we do these events. We don't have daylight savings time. I am a mom to a super cool 8-year-old daughter, Charlotte. She is so much fun and a lot of my inspiration for my books. We do a lot of like imaginary play together, and she helps me work through my writer's block when it comes to stories. I am a guitar player and piano player, so I do a lot of different stuff. Yeah, I kind of have a very eclectic connection to different hobbies. So if you hear me saying, oh, I know something about this, or I do this or that or the other, yeah, it's probably because I had some sort of obsession with it. I do have autism and ADHD and anxiety, and I'm actually agoraphobic, so I've been homebound for quite a while. but I've been doing a lot of writing since being homebound because it's only been since like 2014. The first time I got published, I was 12. I was published in a book of poetry with a bunch of other artists, and I was the youngest one to be published in this book. And I wrote and kept publishing poems up until the end of high school. And then once I went to college, I just kind of lost that mojo, I guess. Dang papers. They kind of make you not want to write so much when you have to write 8 pages on, you know, cardiology and stuff. But then I got back into writing in 2020, and I have been writing mainly about ex-boyfriends and lots of family drama ever since. So my genres are fantasy, thriller, and paranormal mostly. I do have some dystopian, and I am writing a lot of other books like self-help, emergency preparedness, and stuff like that, just on topics that I really enjoy. Um, but that's pretty much me. And I apologize. The book I'm reading is Birchwood. I'm doing an overhaul of all of my books. So it's going to be a little bit messed up because I ordered the edited versions and they still haven't come. So I had to improvise. In this book, oh, thanks, Alicia. In this book, we have 3 sisters who are in this town that's been frozen in time. There is a crazy love triangle going on that they don't really know about. The guy that's involved is the one enacting this curse, and they are trying to unfreeze their town. They are trying to save people's lives because some people, once the curse is broken, are going to be in danger. And this is one of the scenes where one of the sisters, Scarlet, knows something the other 2 don't about their past. And right now they're just trying to figure out how to break the curse, but she is sort of on edge about letting them know what's going on. Scarlet had been acting weird all morning. She jumped every time someone entered the room, seemed to always be hiding stuff, and was constantly staring out the window. She was acting heartbroken and paranoid all at the same time. When asked what was wrong, she just told them she was tired and shrugged it off. They assumed that was it and carried on. The rest of the day was split between real-life work and curse-breaking work. Scarlet and Ophelia were working at the antique shop, while Olivia and Lydia were trying to find Henry and get more information on how to break the curse. They were slowly figuring things out when the others came home. I don't get it. They keep mentioning these amulets in the journals. Are we sure they exist? Lydia asked. Scarlet and Ophelia plopped down on the couch next to Olivia. Yes, they are keepers of magic. They hold everything you need to perform the spell and reverse the curse. You have them. You have your powers back, even though the curse prevents you from being as powerful as you were before, Olivia said. Well, then that's what we need. We have to find them so we can get our magic back. If we have them, we will have the majority of our powers and we can reverse the curse. Wait, didn't we get a box of amulets? Ophelia asked. She started looking around the room at some of the other stuff they had picked up from the auction. Yeah, it's over on the table, Scarlet hesitated. She wasn't sure she wanted her sisters to have their magic back, knowing what she knew now. If they got their powers back, what would that mean for her? Would she be hanged, or would they find a way to save her if her sisters could be saved? Would they even forgive her? Ophelia walked over and opened the lid to the jewelry box. Inside were 2 amulets resting on the velvet holders on long golden chains. One had a blue stone, and the other was green. There was a spot for a third one in the middle, but it was missing. Ophelia turned to Olivia. Is there supposed to be another one? She asked, confused. Yes, there should be a red one. Each stone represents part of the curse. The green stone is envy, jealousy, and family. Blue is for tears and innocence, and red is for the destruction brought on by murder and passion. Thomas Finch turned on us. It had to do with his wife, Sarah. I can't say much else, but it's the reason he betrayed our coven. Where did the other one go? Lydia asked. They should have been with each other if Henry had them. He didn't seem like the type of person who would take the amulet, especially if he knew what they were for. Olivia sighed. The day of the auction, Henry told me that the other one was stolen by Thomas Finch. His house was robbed, and his brother had been keeping the amulet and the trunk safe. But only one of the amulets was stolen. It was clearly the most powerful one, the one of passion. That one is powerful because passion, good or bad, is what drives people to do more and achieve more and love more. But bad passion, the bad of liars, cheaters, and those who don't care about the outcome of their actions, well, that is the worst kind. It can cause hate, jealousy, fear, and anger. It's what kills people in a rage and makes living life so much harder. If that is the part of the curse he has, which it looks like it, then we are in trouble. He'll be able to control more than just the dead. We need to get it back. Where do we start? Ophelia asked. Probably with Alice Finch, his mother. So that is chapter 8. And like I said, I apologize. I've ordered the other books way ahead of time, and it's been months since.
What's the premise of the book? Oh, I kind of.
So these sisters are part of a curse. Their whole town has been frozen in time,
Oh,
and they had to wait until they located the villain, we'll call him, to break the curse because they need to destroy him. He is trying to raise an army of the dead, including his dead wife. But what isn't quite revealed to the sisters in the beginning, but readers will know this in the beginning of the book, is that there was a love triangle between our villain Thomas and two of the sisters. And one of the sisters caught them in this like triangle thing and threatened to tell the wife. And one of the other sisters stabs her. And basically, they're trying to kind of break the curse, save the sister that's stabbed, and prevent him from bringing back his wife, who ended up killed by a different sister, who poisoned her out of jealousy and rage. So there's kind of like a bunch of different moving components with this trio, but that's kind of like in the background of the story. The main portion is them finding out, okay, we have to break the curse, but we have to stop him from raising an army of the dead and bringing back his dead wife. But we also have to think of our sister, and we don't want her dead. But if she does die, then everyone else is in trouble too, for obvious murder and poisoning and all sorts of other stuff. So it's just like all stacked up together.
Are you planning on making this a part of a series, or is it part of a series?
I've gone back and forth on it. I've had a few people tell me they wanted it to be a series because a few people, like my beta readers, have said that it's giving them Charmed, Once Upon a Time, and Practical Magic vibes when they read through it. And they're kind of like, well, you should make it a series, and they should go through when they get home and talk about more about that stuff and do other things. And so that's part of why I'm doing the book overhaul, because I think I need to go back and explore it and see if I could make it a series.
When you say book overhaul, you're rewriting the whole book?
In a sense, yeah.
Really? And republishing it like completely a new edition?
Yep.
Wow.
Like I have,
Okay.
yeah, I
That's
have quite a
ambitious.
couple books. Like my newer books are fine as they are, but a lot of my older books that I started out when I was just kind of warming up as an author.
Oh, I see. So you want to revamp
Yeah,
them. You feel like you know what you're doing more now, and
exactly. Like I've learned a lot
oh
more.
yeah,
I've taken a lot
yeah,
more classes,
yeah, yeah.
I've done a whole bunch more with my writing and improved it so much.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, not to mention like when I do books for other people, like when I edit books for other people,
Yeah,
I've always put my heart and soul into their books. I never really had the confidence or the ability to really focus on mine because I didn't have support. I didn't have any time really when I was doing it, and I wasn't a confident writer. I wasn't like, oh yeah, I have this great idea and I'm going to put it in a book and I'm going to share it. I was so self-conscious. And it was kind of more of a healing thing rather than a writing thing. And I was just writing to write and writing to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wasn't, writing to tell the actual story.
Right.
So
Oh,
like
I
my
totally
newer,
get that.
yeah. Well, and it's like my newer stuff is fine. Like that stuff I'm not touching. My last like 4 or 5 books.
Wow.
Those are
How many
good.
books have you written since 2020?
Like 27.
What?
Yeah,
Wow,
something like that. 27, 28.
that's
And
insane.
yeah,
Okay,
How
Miss
do
Stephen
people do
King,
this? I don't get it.
busted them out.
I just get yeah, I do. And that's my problem. And the other thing is too, like I write some books that are shorter for people like me with ADHD who want to read, but have a hard time diving into like those 300 to 500 page books. Because I had a couple of friends come up to me and be like, hey, we want a really good story, but we don't want something that's going to take forever. We don't want something super long. And yes, like Alicia, she's totally right. Yep. But yeah, people are just like, we want shorter books, but we want them to be good and exciting. So can you write something like that for us so we can have our attention grasped, but without, making it too long? And I was like, I can try. And then I
Wow.
started it just
So
kind of
they're all
narrowed.
published, they're all out and available?
On Kindle Vella, yes. In
Mhm.
print, not all of them. Only 14 of them are in print right now.
Only.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
14. I'll drop the
I don't
only.
know. I need to crack the
Uh,
code.
yeah. Oh,
Okay,
you
Lisa,
got to
don't
read them
act
too,
like you
Alicia. That's awesome.
haven't written other things.
I
Miss
have, but you
Megan.
know how slow I am.
Slow and steady. It's fine.
Well,
It's fine. Stop it.
yeah, I was gonna say everybody writes at their own pace, and like that's
And
the thing.
everybody
Like I
reads
always
at their own pace.
That's true.
exactly.
Yeah, I guess if I wrote as quickly as you read, I'd be like Supergirl.
Oh my gosh. And
Very
I
fast.
read so fast, but when I try to read to enjoy a book, I really slow it down because I can
Yeah.
read over 700 words per minute and I have a 90% retention rate. Yeah, which makes me great as an editor because I get through 25 to 50 pages a day. But when it comes to writing, it's like I need to remind myself to slow down. um, and so I have all these ideas. You can check my website. I have over 50 book covers on there as coming soon because I have so many ideas.
Wow.
My only
Okay.
problem is, getting it done. And, you know, that's kind of
That's
why I'm doing the
amazing.
overflow.
It's
So
amazing. I don't even know how you could go to sleep at night with all those ideas in your head.
I don't know what sleep is.
Okay,
I
there
really
you
do.
go. There you
No,
go.
actually,
I have found that there are certain people who sleep
yeah,
less and they accomplish a lot more.
this
I wish I
is
was one
my
of them.
idea book. This is my idea book. I write stuff in it, and I actually just bought a new notebook because I have so many ideas, and then between bouncing around my ideas and trying to write them, and then because I also work for
Bless you.
an indie publishing
Bless you.
company, Panda Moon Publishing.
Oh yeah, you think you mentioned that on your Facebook.
Yeah, I'm the new head editor, so
Wow, good for you.
yeah, it's
All
exciting,
right, so
but
no
it's
more
scary.
sleep. Forget sleep. Sleep is done.
No,
Sleep is
because we
so
have
so
we have 7
overrated.
active projects right now, and I get trained on Monday because our last editor is coming back from vacation. So I am picking up everything that she dropped before vacation and learning off of that.
Wow.
So, and
See,
the company is, yeah. Huh?
this is where ADHD becomes a tool,
Yes, exactly.
right?
And it's been great though. And it's been a lot of fun. The company though, Panda Moon, they just switched over from one owner to another, or to 2 others actually. So I am working with the new owners, and we are just kind of doing a company overhaul too, on top of everything else.
Cool. Lots of overhauling.
Yeah, starting things new, making big improvements. I am excited and terrified at the same time, but you know, it's great. And aw, enchanting. I'm glad you like what I do with your edits. We are so close to being finished with all 4 of your books.
Enchanting. That's cute.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You should
Does
have her
everybody
tell
on here
you.
have ADHD? I mean, I'm not diagnosed, but I probably do. And my son,
Lisa.
yeah, I know. Shut up. I do. My nickname
yeah.
is Squirrel. Okay. I admit it. They just didn't call it that when I was young.
Right? And it's so much fun though when you can be like
Well,
that and you can jump around.
I call her the squirrel because she will hop
You're not
like
the only person who called me
yes, she's the squirrel because she will hop from branch to branch to branch. And I like if we're doing something like this, I'm like Lisa squirrel, like focus. You gotta focus. Gotta focus.
Yeah.
I have to put headphones on and just be like, I have to have it like dead silent. I
Right.
can't even hear the air conditioner because if I do, I will pick up my phone and I will look at things and I will go all over the place. I have to turn my
Yeah.
phone off. I have to make sure nobody else is home. Yeah, because I get so distracted. And it's just like, oh
Mm.
yeah, let's go do this. Like today, I was like, oh, I want to write another book, but it's like I have all these other projects that I have to perfect before I go into this new project.
I don't
And
know. I'm on the impression that most writers have ADHD
I'm pretty sure we do.
because there's just not enough room in our lives for all of our thoughts. We have to make things up too.
Exactly. I
We
think
got to
have
do
a lot of
something with all the
problems.
voices inside our head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know you
for
could
sure.
call us
Too plain
ADHD,
weird
you
for
could call us
most people. So
schizophrenic, you could call us a lot of things, you know. We all have those things, but you know, creating stuff is really important. And you know, history has taught us that a world without art is horrible. So,
people
you
don't
know,
really
it's
get
good that we can
that.
create.
They take it for granted.
Exactly. And we're in a
Talia,
world right now that's changing so much. Like this is my prepper side coming out. You'll see my prepping book one of these days when I can get around to finishing that. But yeah, this is where like
Those are beaks.
it's important. It's super important. We need it.
Talia,
You
I had
know,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I had a
no,
quick
that's okay.
question about your book. I wanted to ask. So, do you have a lot of is it a little bit of a thriller? Like, is it a little bit like mystery? Because it kind of sounded like there was a lot of hidden elements in the book. Is that
There
kind of
are. Yeah, it's fantasy, which is the main plot, you know, with the magic and the witches and the curses. But then it's got a romance subplot, which is kind of, you know, that's sort of the backstory, but it's not the main focus. But the one character, Henry, he's actually engaged to the other character, Ophelia, and that kind of has its own revolving door there. And then there is a lot of mystery because they get this trunk of papers, photos, just like random stuff, journals, lots and lots of journals that they have to kind of sift through and figure out how to break the curse using all these tiny little breadcrumbs that were left behind for them that they kind of don't know what to do with, that they're shocked to hear about because in their mind, they're in the modern day. They're not in the past like they were before. So it's not the 1700s for them. It's like today. And they are trying to make those connections from the past into now while hunting down somebody that they've met but they've never met at the same time. And it just kind of yeah, it just kind of
reminds me
goes and goes.
reminds me of that series Lost? You know, where
Yeah, it kind of
there's
is.
a lot of mystery, a lot. You really you don't always know what's going on, but it's sort of being woven together slowly. You know, so it
Exactly.
sounds
I
really
love that show.
Yeah,
What?
and that's kind of what it
Oh, you
is.
did come. Emily. There's my person.
Yeah,
Oh,
and that's
Now I'm
exactly
hearing where your beta readers were getting charmed from with like the mystery aspect and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like I try to make it and because we have 3 sisters and so like practical magic does that and that's where I kind of pulled the romance idea elements from. And then we have charms, which there's a lot of mystery and hunting and chasing. And then we have, you know, Frozen in Time, which once upon a time, you know, that's kind of what they did too, but it's just kind of all combined together in one thing, in one story, to make one cohesive, or soon to be cohesive, piece of work. So just one adventure. Any other questions? Okay, then Lisa, you have the floor.
Okay, just in time. I just want to introduce Emily, just popped in here. And Emily is right downstairs from where I am. We are currently on a little adventure in Maine. Neither of us live in Maine, but we are here in Maine.
It's true. We're at a little writing retreat, so it's pretty ridiculous that I'm downstairs logging in and Lisa's upstairs in the Zoom. But
Yeah.
I did,
And I hear you.
yeah, and I did bring her a cup of really terrible coffee. Lisa makes the good coffee while she was up there. I
Yeah,
snuck.
yeah, she made the coffee. So yeah, we are we both have our own writers. I guess what do we call them?
What are you talking about? Our Facebook groups?
Yeah, our street team groups. And Amanda is in both of our groups, and she randomly kind of ended up in both of our groups, like, and then we realized she was in both of our groups, and we turned her into our captain. So and we all signed up for, in a year or so from now, we're all going to Literary Love Savannah. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, guys, have ever heard of it. It's this, Amanda can tell you about it, but it's this incredible reader event. Takes place over 4 days in Savannah. It's in July, which probably means that you don't want to leave the hotel because it's probably so hot. But it's
Savannah. It's in the swamp.
Right, it's in the swamp. It's huge. It's huge, amazing. It's parties. It's reader oriented. It's not for writers. It's for writers to meet readers and to have a lot of fun. If anybody's interested, Amanda, maybe you could post I don't know. I could send the author link later if you guys are interested. But we're going, Emily, me, two of our other author friends, and we're going to be doing a spotlight together. We're like going to give our own party. And Amanda's also going, and she's going to be kind of like our hype girl. It's going to be, I don't know, we'll dress her up in things and run her around. So anyway, I'm a writer retreat. Okay, so here, I am a professor.
Is it Maine? Why are you in Maine?
The Maine.
Why are you in Maine? Talk about why you're in Maine.
Why am I in Maine? Oh, right. Okay, you want to tell them why I'm in Maine? Why don't you tell them why I'm in Maine?
Me? Oh no.
Amanda?
I don't need to it's not right to ask. No, it's not right to ask that to you. Chime in if you want. Anyway, I'm in Maine because well, I mean, one of the reasons I'm in Maine is because I live in New York and Maine is not that far, you know? So oops, what happened? Okay. And my book takes place in Maine, and I'd never been to Maine. So I thought, well, that's very odd of me to have written a book that takes place in Maine, but never having been there. So Emily and I decided to take a little trip there. And so we did. Okay. So I guess I'm most of the time I'm a professor of graphic design. I live in New York City where I teach this graphic design in all fall summer, which is really great. And I have grown children. So no talks about children's parties because they're all grown up and living their own lives. Because I am old. So okay, I'll tell you a little bit about my book. I've been writing for a long time. I had some books that were traditionally published many years ago. One of them I reissued myself, and I just decided to get into the indie author thing. And so the very first book that I published, really, that's never been published before. Hold on a second. I'm going to just try to is this book. It's called An Island Strange and Wild. Sorry for the bookmark sticking out. And it is the first of a series. Amanda knows this book very well. And she wanted me to tell you that I visited Maine because this book takes place in a magical, make-believe, non-existent island off the coast of Maine. And as I said, I'd never been to Maine. And it is a very loose retelling of The Secret Garden. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that classic book, but I mean, I was obsessed with it as a kid. And I don't know, you could ask me why I wrote it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love The Secret Garden. And then, by the way, I designed this cover. So I designed all of Emily's covers. It's my side gig. I teach it, so I do it. Anyway, so without further ado, I will begin reading. And I'll just to give you a little bit of a background, this is a romantasy, so it does center around a boy and a girl and kind of like fated mates, forbidden love, your classic boy meets girl, but and girl hates boy. So so Rosalie ends up we start out before Rosalie gets to the island, and actually the boy we're meeting is not even the main character in the story. He's sort of the what's the word I'm looking for, Emily, Amanda?
He's like the catalyst, really.
He's the catalyst. This is the inciting incident, this thing that happens that gets her to go to the island. So, and here we are. Okay. Okay. Don't be sorry, I say, squeezing back. But Angela, look who's coming. Oh my, people are showing up. But Tyler lurches away from me before I could finish telling him what I've wanted to say for years. He leans out over the deck rail and points at the horizon. What the hell is that? Wait, you know what? I have to backtrack. I just want to tell you that Rosalie and Tyler have been best friends for a very long time. And Rosalie is the child of a very overprotective mother. And Tyler gets her out on this boat. And she's sort of snuck out on this boat. And she's on this boat and she thinks, I'm finally going to tell him that I've been in love with him for 8 years. So that's where we are. Okay. Snuck out on a boat. All right. Just figured I should mention that. What the hell is that? I track his line of sight. The mist has parted like a veil. Where silver ocean meets black sky, a massive cloud glows with sporadic bursts of light. Like a needle on an old-fashioned record player, a thin spindle drops to the water's surface. The cloud expands, and the vortex of a gyrating funnel thickens. That's a water spout. We have to get out of here. Tyler hauls up the anchor, hurtles into the captain's seat, and tosses me a life jacket. The churning needle has thickened to a broad cable. It's on the move, growing closer by the second. Mayday, mayday, Tyler shouts into the radio. This is the Big Easy. Water spout at approximately 1 knot. He repeats our location over and over as the boat's engine coughs to life, bobbing and dipping on the turbulent waves as we try to outrun the black spindle, carving its way toward us. The ocean swells into high peaks, waves lashing the deck as Tyler fights to maneuver us to safety. There's no answer on the radio. Where's your life jacket? I call above the din. Get down below, Tyler yells. I'll worry about me. The taper cuts a swath through the water on a collision course with the boat. Water smacks the hull, whipping moisture into my hair, lashing my face with cold, wet strands. A huge wave slaps the deck. Shit! Down below, I said. Tyler grabs another life jacket as we scramble to the cabin to take cover. Braced under the starboard bow, we cling to the steel handles as the boat pitches violently. Hang on, Tyler says. We can ride this out if... A cracking boom steals the last of his words. The world turns topsy-turvy as the boat flips over. I fumble to fasten my life jacket as the ocean rushes into the cabin, swallowing us in a torrent of water. We're torn apart and sucked through the broken hull, my half-fastened life jacket ripping away. The dark water tugs at me, pulling me downward. In the dim murk of the water, I spot a form paddling toward me. Tyler grabs hold, and kicking together, we break the water's surface. Heaving in gasps, we strain against the current, but there's no sign of the shore. The spout drills across the water, big as an office building. There's no escape, no breath to scream. We're severed from each other's grip as the massive cone roars around us. When I finally wash up on the shore, gagging on seawater, my tank top and shorts clinging to my scraped skin, stars dot the now clear sky. The moon mocks me with its yellow smile. I roll onto my stomach, lift my head, and scan the dark beach. Tyler? Staggering to my feet, I wade into the water. Foamy waves lap at my calves, then recede. I wade in further. The ocean is serene, as if in denial of what it's done. There's no sign of him, but in the distance, an orange light bobs on the ocean's surface, flares up, then disappears into darkness. I stare at what's left of the Big Easy. I stare as what's left of the Big Easy sinks beneath the waves. No, no! I bound further into the surf, shouting his name, but get shoved back to shore again and again. Nobody hears, nobody comes. I peer across the dark water for a sign of someone out there trying to swim to shore. Then the waves deposit a motionless form further down the beach. No, no, no! I stumble toward the still figure and freeze, the scream trapped in my throat. Tyler's I know I hate this part, Amanda. Tyler's waxen lips are partly open, eyes staring as if in disbelief. Clumps of hair cling to a deep gash, washed clean by the salt water. I pound on his chest and breathe into his mouth, trying to force life back into him. Above me, helicopter searchlights scan the water, flashing across his motionless face. I pump harder. One more push and he'll cough, gouts of seawater gushing from his starved lungs, but it never happens. His chest is still, his green eyes unblinking. I can breathe for him all night, and it won't make a bit of difference. I've lost him, not to Maine, but to the sea. I collapse on the sand as a helicopter lands on the beach, covering my mouth to muffle my sobs. My fingers catch on something cold metal, pressing against my even colder skin. Tyler is gone, but somehow, despite everything that's happened, his little pendant still dangles from the unbroken chain around my neck. Some good luck charm. That's it. Yeah.
Way to tear our
Okay.
hearts out first thing. Like,
I know, I'm terrible. I will tell you that as a little boon to my very, very angry reader group, there's a prequel.
good.
And this isn't even in Maine. This is in California. Tyler had just said to her, come with me to Maine. And she's like, I can't.
Aw.
Poor
And
Tyler. It's not
I
easy to
know.
see Tyler.
Poor Tyler. We were looking for Tyler. We didn't see Tyler. Sorry, Amanda. We didn't see Tyler. And we
We
didn't
looked
see
for
him either.
Tyler. We looked for somebody else who becomes very important later in the story. No spoilers, but we didn't see
No.
him either.
We saw some birds
Not him.
and lighthouses and a lot of rocks.
Yeah, Maine's a pretty state to be in.
Lobster. Lots of lobster. It is
Mhm.
pretty, but you know what's wrong with Maine?
Oh, Lord.
You know what's wrong with Maine?
What?
Too many other people like Maine.
That is true. It does get pretty crazy.
That's my friend Angela. That's our friend Angela coming in from Columbia. And I don't mean Columbia County, New York. I mean the nation of.
Coming in hot from the coffee region.
That's
Well,
right.
I'm
Yep.
in the coffee region right now, but
We salute you.
thank you.
Our cups salute you. We salute you every day.
I am sadly drinking water, but that's okay.
Alas.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and, oh
I
my
could
gosh,
pop.
Angela's right
Oh.
too, though. That cover. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you this. There is a prequel with a very, a related cover. It's called A Promise Bright and Fragile, and it's Kindle. It's not in print. And the second book in the series is due to release November 12th, and this is what Emily and I have been working on here. I've been trying to get it done. You didn't know that, Amanda?
No.
Guess how many chapters you've done, Amanda? I'm on chapter 60. Sadly, it's still not finished. Thick.
Chop, chop, lollipop.
Are you
I'm
planning on
chopping. I mean, I'm
printing
on
it
here. I
too?
got to go down there and write. Oh, Emily. Wait, you just okay. Let's put in Island. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
put in, okay, that's Promise. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for bearing with me. I hate reading from my own book.
Lisa, I really appreciate just your use of language. There's so many
Oh, thanks
great,
so much.
lots of great imagery that you use, and I was really it draws you in very quickly.
Thanks so much.
Really like that. So
Well,
I can tell you're a very good writer, and I really appreciate
wow, thank you
the
so
way
much.
you use your writing.
I need to give some very important shout outs to two people who are in here. Number one, Emily, right there. Emily, say hi with your floppy. Wait, do the floppy thing. She does this a lot. She's basically my editor. And then Angela is a very amazing. Angela, come on. The whole reason there's so many things in this book.
Floppy sleeve people unite. Yeah.
And,
Yes,
and
it's
my
our
hus-
awk person,
right.
awkward
And
friends.
we're all
cheer.
awk. We're all awk.
So
There we
awk.
go. That's how we all met, by being awk. And then we found awk readers to add to the awk, right? Right, Amanda?
Together.
She's awk with us. So anyway, so thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say.
Awesome. So are you planning on for book 2? Are you going to print it, or is it only going to be
Oh
Kindle
no, the
only?
book, yes.
Okay,
Book
perfect.
2, absolutely.
'Cause I'm like, I love book art. Like that's kind of
Oh,
a
thanks.
second collection for me. So I'm like,
Oh,
when I see
thank
a
you,
book
Emily.
that
Wow, I
I'm
got
like,
my whole hype team here. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
Promise.
yeah,
And I'm still in the
that.
process of doing the cover for the second book. That's really the prequel there. The second book is called A Secret Deep and Savage. And thank you to Amanda and our reader group because they helped me come up with that title. I was having a hard time there. And today I told Emily exactly what's going to happen in this book and what's going to happen in book 3 because I came out of the bathroom and I figured it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, you have like a knack to figuring out what needs to happen in stories in the bathroom. The last time I was visiting Lisa in New York, she went to take a shower and then she came out and she was like, I know exactly how to fix the beginning of your romantic.
Yeah, no, it's well, I was also trying to help her come up with a title, but the problem with me is once you start me doing that, you can't make me stop. So all day I'd be like, how about a baba da baba da baba? It's like, no, that's not good. Oh, what about a baba da baba da baba?
Well, Angela knows my pain, but Angela, I will tell
We
you
have a title.
when we get done with this that we actually came up with a title and it's a
Mhm.
miracle. So I won't burden anybody else with that. But Angela and Lisa have gotten sucked into my horrible brainstorming for my new book title. So
Not horrible.
I'd like to contribute something to the group. And if anybody is a Spanish speaker, this will make more sense in Spanish. If not, I'll try to translate it. I have a way of saying it that you have an epiphania, which is like an epiphany. An epiphany, not an epiphany.
Very good.
When you
An
go to the bathroom. Una epiphania, or
How
you
about
have
an
an epiphany.
epiphany?
love it.
I
Love
have
it.
those.
Angela is also a writer, in case you couldn't tell from her creative use of language. Part of our
Am I
writing.
the only-
In
I
case
feel like I'm the
you
only-
have one, now you can name it.
See, we're hijacking this thing. You see, you have to understand about us. We are a writer, like there's how many of us? There's 6 of us. We call ourselves the Sprinters. And oh, sorry. Okay, I'll shut up. But anyway, we talk to each other every day and we read each other's stuff. Anyway, thank you so much.
Am I the
Also,
only reader here?
Yeah, probably.
I think so now. Maybe, yeah.
They left. We bored them.
Of course, we're all readers too.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Oh, Angela's a reader, and so was Emily in this capacity. Anyway,
yeah.
I'll be nice and I'm gonna stay around for one more reading. I think it's rude of me to like just read and run,
Okay. Any questions?
Good, because I think I'm next and I would love you to hear it, right?
Oh, I
I'm
would love
next.
to hear it. I'm very
Emma,
intrigued by your mythology.
the perils of going last. Everybody's going to be gone when I read.
Brandy, I will be here. I promise.
I will be,
I was gonna say,
here
I'll still be
too.
here because I'm the host, and also I really want to hear your book too. Like I
But
said,
before
it's
like all
on
any
my
other
list.
authors, before any
Hi.
authors leave, can you can they drop their socials in that not in the chat, but like can you tell them to drop them in like the discussion and like the Facebook group thingy-majiggy? So get them in
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people, we can have them do it like on the event page.
Yes, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we can do that.
That way, like whenever I get around to reading, because I'm
She
terribly
reads
backed up
so
on my
much,
TBR.
so
Yeah.
much.
Because
Well,
like this is my
Well,
current read stack, and then I have
just
arcs and
become my
stuff.
friend
Like,
on social, and you
okay.
will always see my stuff.
I have like a teeny tiny little booksta, so I want to like put it out there too, and stuff
yeah.
like that. So
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
awesome.
yeah.
That's really what I'm working with Medusa, is trying to get Medusa to be kind of that viral word of mouth, because that's kind of the book she is. So, you know, I wish I had the ability to have a street team and all that cool stuff and everything.
Well, you know, that
Uh,
just really, you could build it. We started from nothing. We
yeah,
had
I mean, and
Yeah, like
I started a year and a half ago. I started this writing escapade, officially
Oh, you
going into
only
being
started
publishing a
writing.
year and a half ago.
Oh, okay. Well, you're
So
new. You're new.
yeah, I'm a baby.
Yeah.
So
I found them in, it was what, the beta and arc reader on Facebook.
Oh, that's where you found
And
us. That's right.
yeah, I found them on the beta and arc
Right.
reader Facebook group, and they adopted me
We did.
basically.
I think she adopted us.
And so I mean,
Well, she's just like, I volunteer as
uh,
tribute. What do you need? And we're like, okay.
She's the best.
That's
so,
okay,
I mean,
so
if you
with
guys need
that,
help pushing out for cover reveals or anything, just shoot me a message.
yeah.
I'll post it out, blast it. So
And if you need any
I'm
information
always
on
up for
how to
people
build
blasting.
that, just give me a holler and I'll tell you what I did and what I'm not like the world's most well-known viral reader, but Emily and I both built our own little groups of, people that.
That's what I'm trying to do. I
Jar
have
Jar,
about
no.
1,000 people on my newsletter.
That's good.
I'm you know, and I started that in January.
That's
So,
really
you
impressive.
know, so and I'm working towards it. I'm also trying to make sure I don't burn myself out, because
Mhm.
I want to keep doing
Well,
this for
I
a very
think
long
that's really
time. So,
great. It's more than I
yeah.
have. I mean,
yeah, I'm almost at 100. I think I have like 86 for my newsletter.
On newsletter? Book
Yeah.
funnel, man. Book funnel.
well, yeah, if you do book funnel, I mean, I find I do book funnel and people sign up and then they drop off. I don't know.
I
But
have a consistent 35 clicks every month from my newsletter, with the book funnel and all that and everything. I don't have a huge rep on book funnel or anything like that yet.
Mhm.
It's usually, I think
That's
it's like
really good.
25 clicks is what I get.
You mean
But
on the
you know,
author swaps? On author swaps, you do author swaps?
I do author swaps and stuff like that. I do the group promos. That's what I do. Is I do the group
Oh, I
promos.
see.
And,
Okay.
and I'm getting those 25 because I'm comfortable with socials. Because if you want, I put in my
Yes,
post
you are.
a
You
click
are.
over to my social, and you can see that I post every day on TikTok.
Mhm.
And I try to make sure there's a post on all the socials daily. Luckily, Facebook
God
is kind
bless
of
your
tied
heart.
across the board. And do that and get that out there. But I'm constantly trying to break out of an echo chamber. I don't want to be like just stuck in one little spot. I want to make sure that, you know, that spread gets out there. So that's kind of part of my focus as well. But
Well,
yeah, I'll
definitely pick your
introduce
brain.
myself, which I haven't officially done yet this evening. I'm Cheryl L.D. Trent. And as I mentioned, I am relatively a baby author. I had my first book officially published, Daughter's Fortune, into print in October 2023. Tylee and I kind of met because I got started with Kindle Vella, which I'm still very active with. I have on Kindle Vella, I have 7 stories that you can access. Kindle Vella is great if you've never come across it. It has, you can read the first 10 episodes for free of every Vella. And then you can choose if you want to keep on reading something, then you just, you know, you have a token pack and you purchase the additional episodes. And it's a lot of fun. One specific one that is kind of fantasy oriented that I'm doing right now is they have a Veli competition that is like, we've got like 3 more days. Every follow is a vote for that Veli competition. And the story I have on there right now, this is going to be backwards, called Stalker Stalked, and that's a dark fantasy. So, and it's set in 1990s, and it's in my Fateful Universe, which is on Kindle Vella. And so it's kind of like a fae urban fantasy historical. So, you know, because the stories are set in the 1990s, the 1970s. There's a contemporary one. There's one set in the 1930s, and there will be a dystopian one as well. So, but yeah, so that's kind of give you an idea of, I write historical fiction, and kind of historical fantasy is kind of my genre. And the reason I come from that is I have a degree in history with a focus on clothing history. And so I use those skills to put it into my book. So my historical fiction, I do it historically where it's connected to the history that's going on. And specifically like in Medusa, her story, which we're going to be highlighting right now, this I call it historical mythology, because I use my history skills, historical research skills, to pull out all the myths, and not just the specific myths, because honestly, if you look up the myth of Medusa, it's probably about 5 paragraphs. It's not a lot. If you go deeper into it and you collect all the different pictorial histories and oral histories and the precursor histories and things like that, and that's kind of what I create a story around that, and I kind of weave all those different mythologies together to create a story. And this one specifically is from her perspective.
This is the
It's
feminist
not like,
version of Medusa, right?
pardon?
The feminist Medusa.
It is a feminist. I mean, honestly, if you do the research, one of the things you discover is that Medusa means protector, guardian, and queen. That's actually what those words mean. And her throughout history, in actual history, there was a Gorgonian coin, and the Gorgonian coin was a coin that was used for currency, but it was also used for protection and luck. And her symbol was put on houses and in doorways to protect you from monsters. So once you start looking at that part of the history versus the, you know, famous Ovid mythology and things like that, you start to realize that there's a different story here. If you look at it from a different perspective than from the perspective of the aggressor rather than the victim. And in this case, you look at it from her perspective, you kind of see it different. And so that's why some of the things I talk about is, you know, what if it wasn't a curse? That's, you know, look at it from that direction, is what if the ability to turn men to stone was not a curse? And then think about the fact that everything that Medi goes through in this story, women still deal with today. So we still deal with a lot of the issues that are in this story. So that's kind of where that comes from. And I like to do, when I introduce the story, I like to just do it the prologue, because I think it's an excellent setup. I also like to point out in the book that proceeds do go to Human Rights Campaign and to RAINN, which is a anti-violence, anti-domestic violence campaign as well. So part of the proceeds go to that as well. There we go. Okay. Any questions before I start? Okay. We're all the authors are just here now.
Well,
right.
there's true.
Yeah.
I'm not an author.
Really, Amanda? I think that's just going to be a matter of time.
No.
Her daughter's going to be an author.
I'm here as a reader. Okay, Angela. All right. So, prologue.
Oh, God.
The myth. Medi started looking for shells in the sand. The tide was receding, so she hoped to find scallops hiding in the exposed shoreline. Unlike in the shallows, where they often lay on the ocean floor, their pink hulls softly glistening and their mouths half open, waiting to gather food, They had to sink deeper here, remaining in wait for and safe from danger. She walked along the water's edge, seeking the telltale sign of bubbles burping in the sand. Spotting a bubble burst and a small hole appear beneath, she dug up the earth with her toes, flicking the shell free. The scallop fluttered and tried to bury itself again, but she was faster. Her braid worked its way loose, freeing her hair to dance in the wind and snap at her face. The netted bag had plenty for her offering, but she wanted one more. It almost got away when her toe slipped it into the edge of the water. Lunging after it, she smiled, her prize trapped between palm and fingers. Ha! Light glinted off the water surface, glancing at the sun setting in the sky, streaked in pinks and blues. Her mind swam with thoughts of joy that slipped into sadness. She slumped onto the beachy shore, wallowing in memory and sorrow. Hot tears stung her eyes as she sighed, finding no strength to wipe them away. After a few more deep breaths, she exhaled and said, "Pink, with long orange streaks. The tops of the clouds are brilliant white and deep purple on the bottom." Her heart lifted a little and she smiled. Her peace faded and she fell into a sour mood as the silhouette of a man encroached. Wet and covered in mud, Medi stood, ignoring him as she cleaned off her hands. He tissed. "You're dirty. Perhaps you can swim and wash away the sand," he offered. She grimaced, not making any eye contact. "No, thank you. I am avoiding the water presently." "Shame. It is quite beautiful today." "I will be fine. It is just sand." Medi then turned and walked away. He followed and quickly caught up. Walking beside her, he asked, "Where are you off to?" "The temple," she replied. "For what else?" "To make an offering." "To Poseidon?" he asked with glee. Stunned at his audacity, she uttered, "No, Athena." "And what do you ask of her?" "Patience." "Patience?" "Yes," she replied through gritted teeth. "Patience for what?" Stopping, her hand curled tightly around the bag. "Against men like you." "Men like me?" he asked, shocked. "What have I done?" "Done?" She glared at him incredulously. "You asked me that." "Why? Because I would like to know you better." "Did you even ask if I wish to know you better?" "No, but," he stammered. "Did you introduce yourself?" "No." "Did you ask if I needed help or merely started helping?" "You were muddy and the water was right there." "You were inserting yourself into my life because what? You found me pretty?" "Well, yes," he said with obvious admiration. She scoffed and quickened her pace. He matched her step, keeping the distance between them small. "I came to see you." Her previous anger faded as ominous fear took its place. She could not stop the waver in her voice. "Perhaps you can meet me later." "But we are both here." Medi peered over her shoulder and could see the lights of the temple just over the hill. "Why me?" she said slowly, stepping further down the road. "Your beauty," he cooed. Medi rolled her eyes. "The legend of your beauty has crossed mountains and seas. Skin smooth as pearl, hair long, so dark you could get lost in it. And eyes," he moved closer, his voice dropping low, "that pierce the soul." Cautiously nodding and sensing imminent danger, she stepped back, but her foot slipped, causing her to stumble and fall against the tree. In an instant, he pressed against her, his breath quickening with anticipation. Terror roiled inside her, but her voice remained calm as she stated, "I am a daughter of Athena." His hand entwined in her hair. "That is fine." She cringed as his lips ran across her neck. "My duty is to her and no other god." "She isn't here." Crushing her against the tree, he grabbed her face as his mouth groped for hers. She fought his kiss, smelling his sweet, sticky breath, and spat at him. Furious, he growled and tried to kiss her again. Medi struggled under his great strength, her hand still clutching the bag of scallops. She swung at his head with all her strength, and when his hold loosened, she ran. Fear-filled tears streaked down her cheeks as she stumbled down the darkened path, pushing her way through the temple. Without looking over her shoulder, she knew he was behind her. Her body slammed against the temple doors. Her hands shaking, she rattled the handle, yanked it open, and scrambled inside. Shutting it behind her, she lowered the heavy board, locking him out. Sliding to the ground, she took safety within the sacred walls. If the door did not keep him back, the wrath of Athena would. He would not dare desecrate Athena's temple. Body trembling, she released the bag and walked over to the altar to give thanks. Her knees buckled when a great explosion hit her in the back. The force blew her body against the feet of Athena, tossing her into the raised stone. A sickening crack rang in her ears and pain seared her skull. Shards of wood rained around her and embedded in her skin from the explosion. Trembling from pain, she turned back towards the entrance. A massive horse stood in the doorframe. Light sparked from its hooves, and the earth shook with each clop as he walked towards her. Her body froze in fear. Unable to move, her lungs fought intense pain as she drew in ragged breath. Hovering over her, the horse's head lowered and exhaled hot, humid air onto her face. His voice boomed from all around her. You cannot deny me what I want. The horse slowly transformed back into human form. Please don't, she croaked. This is the house of Athena, and I am a daughter of Athena. Would you anger the goddess of war? He grinned, grabbing her legs and pulling her closer. She'll forgive me. She always does.
Woo!
Love it.
Whoa. That is wow. Are you a fan of did you read Circe? Are you a fan of
I have not read Madeline Miller's. I know. But I know about it. I know about the story. I know what she does. I really want to read Son of Achilles too. And I'm aware of her. This is the same as I'm aware of Natalie Miller's Medusa as well, and things like that. So,
but I think yours is a little hers is very lyrical and slow. Yours seems like it's going to have a lot more going on.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
The last one when you did the romance and they don't know your good scenes yet. Like the really good with the action from the one, because you were reading for the romance event before. Oh my gosh. I kept wanting you to just read. Like when you get to her action scenes, like this is a mild scene. When you get to her action scenes where things are big and happening, you're gonna just like,
That's not big and happening. That's
big that's
heavy.
not even close
That's
to
heavy.
big for her. When she does big, like she goes real big. Like it's big. Like
but I think
you need to come with your own trigger warning.
Holy crap, big.
But I think
her own trigger warning, will cause emotional heaviness.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, oh.
Angela?
You.
That was good. That was good. Two things. First of all, I really like your necklace. I know that is it's a butterfly. I love that.
It's a butterfly made out of pearls. My mother found it for me, and I love it. I like wearing this one, and I like wearing, I've got it right over here. I'll go grab it and show it to you. But it is kind of like the cover of the book. It is a death mask that is done as a medallion, and it is of a Greek woman, and I really love it. And it's one of a kind. I found it, and this guy's like, I cast one of these. It never sold, and I'll give it to you. He basically gave it to me practically for free, and it is the most beautiful thing. So.
I can't believe your mother gave that to no, it's not that I can't believe that your mother gave it to you. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I think it's very interesting that it was a gift from your mother, because my mother, the reason I latched on is my mother loved butterflies. It was like her thing. It was she had butterflies everywhere. She had every little butterfly thing she ever found. She loved butterflies. I was like, oh, that's a butterfly. But side note, love it. And also, I really, really like this. I had never, like, I had never thought of the idea of something from the perspective of Medusa. I love alternative, like when they flip things on their ear and you're like, oh, I had never contemplated this from another point of view. I think it's so interesting that, that she's a protector. And I love that idea.
And that was the big thing, is anything I've seen with Medusa still put her in the vein of being a monster. Like they justify her being a monster. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that, like, the back of the book originally had the word oppressive patriarchy on it. And after 2 people asked me to take that off, I was like, okay, fine. And they were like, and they wanted me to take the men, because if you read the back, it says, but what if that was the only one side of the story, one told by men for men? Because that's the
I
whole
love
plot
that
of the
line. I saw that in the chat. I wanted to say that.
Put it back.
That line.
Put
has
oppressive
line.
patriarchy back. That's patriarchy.
good
Excuse
line.
my language, but
Right. No, don't get insulted, James. It's okay. You're
Yeah.
not.
he's writing from a female perspective. I think he gets
all,
it. I
all
think he
these
gets
things.
it.
Yeah.
I love that
I
idea.
feel like he vibes with it.
I think it's so cool. I think it's so cool. I don't know if you're looking in the chat. Emily and I were just talking about how there's a story by a friend of a friend of all of our three. No, that's not right. A friend of all three of us, Madeline Dyer, and she has a book about Medusa as well. It's different from what you're
More
saying.
contemporary, right?
It's more contemporary. It's very dark. And it doesn't have the idea, but I'm usually not speechless. I'm quite but really it took, and that last sentence, Cheryl, you have a new fan. That's it. I don't have anything very eloquent to say. I'm just really blown away by that.
Well, I have
Derek, it was
great news for you. I have great news for you, because one of the goals of Tylee's goal is this is a book signing. So if you want to purchase the book, that link I put over in the TikTok, that is for the book with the sprayed edges.
How fancy.
And specifically tonight, you get the Gorgonian coin on a necklace.
Wow.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, a lot of those. I'm gonna go dig around. A lot of those things don't come here. I live in Colombia, in Bogota.
Oh, you live in Colombia. Okay. Yeah, I have been. I have 2 people. I have one in New Zealand and I have one in England that I plan on doing a care package. I'm like, you pay for the shipping and I will send you the little thingies. And then they just purchase the book, because my book is available wide. So you can get it anywhere, including international. And if you want the other things in like a signed nameplate, we can work that out as well.
We can talk about, but anyway, I'm following you on TikTok already. I think
It's great. She did all of the a lot of the publicity for this thing, and I was already a fan. I just want to say one thing more, Cheryl, about how you write. That really appeals to me. I love lyrical writing. I mean, maybe mine is somewhat lyrical, and I feel your writing is very lyrical, and that's what really captured me. How we meet her, and we get to know her, the beauty inside of her, and her emotions, and that she can be fragile. She could have deep feelings, and then we see this rage in her. I just really like the way she talked to him. But I just like the way we know all these things about her. So then when she becomes haughty, we understand why. Like, and
Yeah,
the dialogue is very crisp. And it's a really nice contrast to the lyrical writing. So it's it's like a whole palette in there. Very visual. So nice job.
I get told that a lot, and I love that. I love that, like that keeps becoming a repeated thing that people talk about. It's like that my dialogue is very tight.
You could join.
Well, and we were talking earlier about that neurodivergent thing, and I like to be descriptive, but my description has to have purpose and has to continue to carry the story, because if it just becomes descriptive, and I will get lost in a paragraph. My dyslexia and my ADHD, and I will get lost in a paragraph and like, what were we talking about? So when I do those, it is like all in there, and then the action and that. And you see that even a lot in like even the current one I have right now, Stalker Stalk, like the two characters right now in the episode I'm writing are making making chai. And, you know, so you know the action and the scenes going on, and just like a normal person would be having a conversation and doing something at the same time, that's what the characters are doing. So, you know, the scene is building itself as you're doing it. And that's how I like to tell my stories. And I think that's why Abby likes my action scenes so much, is because, like,
I think
you know,
that's just
Yeah,
good
because it's
writing.
like crazy. It's like watching a movie without the screen.
I get told that all the time.
That's good writing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, and
The-
oh my gosh, all like your books just in general are very much like that. They're descriptive without going overboard. They are super lyrically written. And you get a lot of that drama and the theatrics without like 10 pages describing a chair. You know, you get a lot of that good push, and it's just like it's really good action. Like, you know,
Good,
I
good
feel
work.
like everyone has done that tonight though. Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
has
There's
done
been
like
yeah,
really
I mean,
descriptive writing and
So
stuff
yes,
like
Angela,
that.
10 pages describing a chair. I tried to read Moby Dick, and like it felt like it just droned on and on about a chair in a corner. Like,
Oh.
I have to tell people, I you know, and I always wait for their looks, but I am not a George R. R. Martin or a Wheel of Time fan, like,
Yeah.
because it's just too
Too
much
much.
description,
Too much.
and I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what were we talking about?
yeah, like you get lost. Like it's kind of like, okay, there's too much description, and then it's like, okay, where are we at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this with Anne Rice. I read a lot of Anne Rice's books, but Anne Rice like frustrated me because there would be a story in the middle of the story. Like she'd be telling a story, and then all of a sudden it was the Book of Maris. And I'm like, what's happening over here?
It's like, which book are we reading?
Yeah. But like a good example of that, you know, like telling two stories at the same time would be like Karskanda, Fallen Priestess of Aya, which is my fantasy story. This one is simultaneously you are learning the past and the present at the same time. And so it jumps back and forth, but it does it to tell the story. So the pieces like just flow from one into the other, and you're like telling, you know, like getting that information in there, because I like that type of storytelling. I like stories that knit together, and that's why I like the Fateful Universe as well. And I'm telling in those because there's little snippets that like you read them individually and they're standalones and they're great stories, but then you like, you know, if you read them all together, you start seeing this huge thing that's going on that all of these little slice of life are putting together. So
Nice work, though. Really good.
thank you. But yes, but if you do purchase the book today, you get the medallion, and it's all pretty, and you get a pretty little bookmark, little coiled snake on it.
Oh man.
And I do all the wrapping. I do everything. I did the cover. I do the edges. I do the charm. So
She's very crafty, so she makes all the beautiful things that go with it.
yeah.
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 Well,
Everything here
you'd
I've made.
You'd have a really good time at Literary Love Savannah because you could bring all your goodies there. So you know,
That does sound very interesting. I
come
am
and
going to
hang
look
out
into
with
that.
us.
So
As long as you don't mind a lot of peopling, because we've been having this conversation, Emily and me, about, well, Amanda too. There's a lot of peopling there, right? Heavy duty peopling.
I used to do conventions. I used to sell clothing at conventions.
Okay.
So I know how to turn on that one. Also, if you are interested, Daughter's Fortune is available wide as well. And this is my historical fiction. This one is set in 1688, and this is the one she's talking about with the fun action scenes, because it is action packed. I call it high seas adventure, but and the tagline is not a pirate, because it talks about being a privateer, and that there really isn't a difference between the two.
Yeah.
So
We should
and that
probably
one comes with fun
It
little
is
goodies as well.
good though. She read that for our romance version of the event, and
Cool.
everyone just kept wanting her to keep going. We all were just kind of like, wait, you stopped?
Did I
like, we were sitting here.
Did I do the combat? Did I do the fight like a girl scene? that
Yep.
the scene I did? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Fight like a girl.
yeah.
I
Fight
feel
Yeah.
bad.
dirty is what it's called. You know, it's
I
like,
said
yeah.
I was gonna leave, but I feel bad leaving on Brandy because she's the only one left. So I will.
We
I'm,
got
I
you,
know. I
Brandy.
am so excited for Brandy's because
I'm
you
gonna
just
wait
did your book
around.
signing and you were in a bookstore, like on the shelf. That was so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I did 2 signings. I did one at a local store that's been here forever. And then I was able to get into Barnes and Noble that just opened in where I live. And they'd not been open too long, but they said I was the first author that sold out. I did sell out, which was really cool.
That's my,
I know,
yeah, I
right?
gotta do these next. I gotta do those next.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
They're on my list.
Goals. You are like
Yeah.
the goal.
Oh, no.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
do you want me to start?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm at Huntsville and I didn't bring an actual physical copy of my book. I brought all my children's stuff, but none of that. So this is really hard to see. This is my book. It's called The Gate. It's a lot prettier, not on the screen. Let's see if I can make it less. Maybe that's better to see. Yeah. So this is book 1 in a 3-book series. The second book is going to be out before the end of the year. And this is the one that I wrote and then decided to fix and then fixed. And by fix, I mean I went back and re-edited. I added a map. I added a pronunciation guide. I did all the stuff I should have done. New cover, new everything. And so we released it this year at the end of May. So here it is. So I'm actually not starting at the beginning, but I didn't want to do too many spoilers. So this is about a little over halfway in, and things aren't going well. Main character is Amren. She's an immortal warrior, and she does not want to be immortal anymore. It's kind of Highlander meets Throne of Glass, as I have been told. So I'm trying to find where I was supposed to be. No, I lost my place. Sorry, I moved my thing and totally lost where I was. Give me a second. All this time waiting, and now I don't know where I'm at. Come on, book. There we go. Okay. Almost. Okay, here we go. Got it. All right. So she's held captive and she doesn't know where they're taking her. And this is what's happening. So the leader of the 3 nodded to the others. No, I lied. Starting over. She stood on her own slowly. The guards stopped moving toward her, placing their hands on their sword hilts. If I wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead, she smirked, keeping her voice low. The leader of the 3 nodded to the others, and they moved to take Amren by the arms. As they left the cell, Amren did her best to shuffle her feet. However, her pride got the better of her, and she allowed herself to walk without stumbling. Infused with energy, most likely from Regelth's counterspell, she was buzzing with a momentum that threatened to spiral beyond her control. She jerked her arms from the guards' grips, enjoying their fleeting, panicked expressions. She could only guess as to where they were taking her. There was no reason for Venelise or Lors to try to end her, though knife wounds still hurt, and no one in their right mind sought pain on purpose. The guards quickened their pace, and before long they arrived at a set of unreliable-looking steps that jutted out from the walls of the mountain keep. The largest of the guards gripped her by the back of the shirt. "It's just you and me from here on," he rumbled by her ear just before pushing her forward. They climbed the stairs for what seemed to be hours. Amren slowed her pace for show, but she sensed the tiniest kernel of trepidation with each step. While she was an unbeatable force on the battlefield, she was still human. And humans, she had always reasoned, were not meant to occupy heights. She could face anything with a blade and her feet firmly planted on solid ground, but always maintained that the mountains should be left to the map makers and expeditioners. If climbing were what she had to do, she would do it, but only if necessary. Otherwise, she wanted no part of it. Finally, Amren, her captor, reached the landing at the top of the stairwell. With one hand still on her back, the guard pulled a heavy ring of jangling keys from his belt and unlocked the metal door. What lay beyond could be anything, Amren thought. Perhaps Jael had struck a bargain with the guards to help her escape, or maybe this was another one of Lor's attempts to test her. Leaving the keys in the lock, the guard reached for his belt again, producing a single silver key. Without a word or any change in expression, he held it up in front of her, then tucked it into one of the front pockets of her breeches. Then, without further hesitation, he pushed the door open. The light was near blinding, and before her eyes could adjust, he shoved her through, closing the door swiftly behind her. She could not see much, but she heard the click of the tumblers in the lock, and then the guard's fading footsteps. Amren stepped back and leaned against the door, allowing her eyes a few moments to adjust, trying to process what had just happened. The guard had tucked a key in her pocket before he pushed her into the room, but she had no idea why. A gust of wind buffeted her as she flattened her palms against the door, the cuff on her wrist clanged against the metal. Her breath caught, and the corner of her mouth turned up in a smirk. This had to be Jael's work. She pulled the key from her pocket, and in seconds the cuff fell to the stone by her feet. Her eyes adjusted to the brightness enough that she could step away from the door. She was in a vast, open-air cavern. In actuality, the space was more like a deep, sweeping ledge. The air felt thin. Quite high up in the mountain, one whole half of the room was open to the sky, the ridge extending past the end of the walls. The wind whipped her hair around her face while she scanned the area. In the middle of the floor, there were her scabbard, belt, and blades in a haphazard pile. She made for the weapons, fully expecting an ambush, but she no longer cared to sit idle. The leather belt felt comfortable in her hands. She buckled it around her waist, quickly noting that she needed to use a different notch. She'd lost weight, the toll of all the healing she did after aiding Regel. She hid the throwing knives in their places and slid her daggers into the sheath strapped to her thighs. Amren stood and slid her short sword into the scabbard. The weight was right. It felt good to have her balance again. If Jael managed to arrange this, perhaps it was the best escape opportunity he could find. He would know that if she hurt herself in the descent, she would be able to heal and continue on. If he had convinced the guards to bring her here, he was truly more gifted than she gave him credit for. Silver-tongued bastard, she murmured with a smile. Her curiosity got the best of her, and she crept toward the sunlit ledge. Gravel skittered off the rock as her feet neared the outcrop, so she knelt, her pulse quickening. Palms flat to the ground, she managed to peer over the edge, but had to stifle a shudder. The face of the mountain plummeted straight down, a near vertical drop of no less than several thousand feet, before it disappeared into the forest canopy below. Amren's head spun, and her stomach dropped at the sight of the open space between the ledge and the trees below. She pushed back from the ledge, but remained in a crouch, scanning the clear, bright sky. In the distance, she saw an Atronach as large as the one they encountered in the forest, circling near one of the closest dark mountain peaks, banking hard. A series of muffled metallic clangs and groans sounded somewhere nearby at the back of the cave. She glanced over her shoulder, but the space between her and the door remained empty. She stayed low, turning her attention to the sky as strong wind gusts buffeted her. The Atronach in the distance continued to circle, banking in her direction. Something seemed off. A hiss from behind caught her attention, and she spun around. A lone Atronach was perched on an outcropping above the door she'd come through only minutes before. It was small compared to the one she'd seen in the forest, but small meant nothing if it was quick. Amren stepped sideways and turned, gauging the distance between herself and the cliff's edge. With one eye on the beast's perch, she backed up against the wall, but just as her back hit the stone, the Atronach leaped. Amren instinctively reached for Frost, but her hand found nothing. The horse-sized creature was now within striking distance, and she drew her short sword, preparing for a fight at close range. With a shriek, the Atronach twisted at the last second and bolted off the ledge, unfurling its wings to catch an updraft. It glided in an arc, then dove out of sight. Sheathing her sword, she sidestepped as far as she dared toward the ledge. The wind picked up, howling into the cavern behind her. She teetered against the gusts, her stomach fluttering as she caught another glimpse of the sheer face. Taking a quick look to the right, she saw the same vertical face end at a collection of tall, grassy slopes. Of all the possible methods of escape, this was the worst kind of predicament. At the very least, a fall from this height would result in shattered legs or a broken back. She grimaced. Maybe Jael wasn't as bright as she thought. Movement on one of the low hills drew her attention. Horses. Each mount carried riders, and all were headed toward the tallest hilltop, turning toward the ledge where she stood. One horse carried a woman and a child. Sitting astride a great black mount was the unmistakable form of King Lors, and next to him, trailing slightly behind, were Jael and two mountain guards. The woman was pointing toward the ledge. Lors raised his head to see, but the prince's head remained down. Pieces began to fall into place. Amren looked back to the sky. The Atronach that circled the distant peaks was now bearing down on the ledge. As it neared, it opened its mouth and let out a piercing scream, just like the one she heard inside the mountain, but thunderous enough to rattle her bones. This was not an escape route for her. She turned back to the hilltop. Now all six faces were looking in her direction. The Atronach screamed again, and Amren's head snapped back to the ledge. before it extended its claws feet to land. No, this was most definitely not an escape plan. This was an arena. That's it.
I love that. Ah, so like, okay, I hate heights. And just
Mhm.
hearing how you talked about her being on the mountain, like I was so freaked out. I was like, I would not get near that edge.
Well,
Like, that
she's
would just
immortal. She's immortal, but I wanted her to have, having a fear of something. Just because you're immortal doesn't mean you don't like
yeah,
pain. So
right,
I wanted her to have a fear of something that we could relate to.
right.
I need to
And
see
that
like
totally
a
worked.
I need to see a picture of like yours and like James's like creatures so I can like picture in my head like y'all's creatures sound so scary. Like my brain has pictured it to be like freaky. And so I'm
Mine,
like, I need to picture it. Like
mine
I
is like,
need to visualize it so
dragony.
bad.
Mine's like
It's like
dragony,
six
wyverny.
faces. It's like
So
6 faces, right? And
mine,
James,
It's on the cover, so you can see it's on the cover, so you can see it.
oh, okay. Okay, cool. And I was
yeah,
like, y'all just sound so crazy.
yeah, mine's kind of like a dragon, wyvern kind of thing. It's in the book, in the first book, they're called Atronach. But wait, there's more that I can't say. So in book
Gotcha.
2. So, but yeah, they're pretty scary.
So it's a series.
hmm The second one will be out this year. So
Hey, guys. Oh, Emily, mute yourself. I'm so sorry, but this was great. Emily, mute something. I don't know. Hear her talk. She's in the other room. We have to go because we have to get up early and leave tomorrow. I know you can hear me, but I hear me in the other room because she's in there with us.
Okay.
oh, also just so you know, this one is we just released it on audiobook. So
Oh, great.
it is on Audible, and actually you can get it from me too on my website. I just posted my
You
website.
did the reading? Who read it? You?
No, I had a narrator.
Oh, wow, cool. Well, anyway,
So
thank you so much, Tylee. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks for coming, Amanda and Angela and Emily, who's gone. Emily and I have to leave Maine.
okay.
They have to get out of Maine. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm signing out. Adios. Bye-bye. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Randy, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Your background, did you ever read like Dragonlance or anything like I got a very RPG vibe from some of the descriptions you gave.
Okay, well I do play D&D. So yeah. I grew up kind of, my brother played, and I've recently kind of gotten back into it. But I also was a big
gamer from a mile away, so like I could tell that I've been gaming forever too. But I love the battle scene was so well drawn out. I really enjoyed the way that you put all that together. Cheryl too, but both of y'all have a great way of really connecting the scene and making the emotions real, not just the action, but bringing in her emotions. I think it brings it to another level.
Thank you.
Of narrative. So I really enjoyed the pitch battle that she had, and the idea of that last, this is an arena. I love it. So very
Thank you.
Very engaging.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, that creature plays a much bigger role.
So James, I was kind of nervous and you went first. But a question for both of you guys. Is fantasy y'all's only genre that you guys write in?
No, I write fantasy, but I'm working on a science fiction right now, which I'm honestly more comfortable writing in. I love fantasy. I read fantasy a lot. I also read sci-fi. I kind of bounce back and forth. But I also am writing a paranormal romance. I have a paranormal romance that will be out before the end of the year. I have a sci-fi that I need to actually finish. I also write YA dystopia. I write everything. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm on Kindle Vella too as well, so you can see a lot range of stuff on Bella.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's how I met Tylee. So
Yeah.
Oh,
A lot
yeah.
of us met through Vela. Except for James, we kidnapped him from somewhere completely different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend who does a lot of Vela, Rachel, and she I think that might have been how I connected with Tylee. I think we were mutual friends.
Yeah, because I think, well, I was on Rachel's page. I think we were commenting on the same post, and then I looked at your thing because you had stuff about, you were talking about books, and I saw that you were an author too. And then I was like, oh, he's an author. I'm going to add him because I want to read more books.
Oh yeah.
And so then
Yeah.
so then I added you from her personal page. And then we just started talking because you saw my post and then you commented on that. And I was like interested in your books because your books were like super cool.
Well, thank you.
So
I would, to answer your question, Amanda, I do write sci-fi, but I haven't published anything. I wrote a bunch of short stories. I like to challenge myself, and I give myself a challenge to write several different short stories, in the span of a month. And so I wrote an equal number of sci-fi and fantasy short stories because I love sci-fi. I love Star Trek, Star Wars, all of that.
You
But
hear I'm yelling at my cat. His name is Jar Jar Binks.
I love it.
So I'm a big mood reader. So like if I just don't read fantasy, so that's why I was asking. Like,
Yeah.
give me all the books.
I am an official Trekkie.
I'm a
I've
big
been a Trekker.
Awesome.
Have y'all read Pierce Brown's Red Rising series?
Yes.
Okay. So my cat's name is Severo. And he's just a psycho.
One of the author's name, guess what her cat's name is? Severo. My husband read it first and he was like, you're gonna love this. He read all of them. I'm still stuck in Golden Sun because I'm a bit.
I've read Dum Dum. I'm waiting for the last one. So
yeah. So maybe you could like publish all your short stories in like a little short story book, or in like just put it out there.
I sense an anthology coming along.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I'm thinking about turning them into shorter, like the Maiden of Wood and Steel is shorter. I thought about doing shorter. Like one of the authors had mentioned doing shorter works. Tylee, you mentioned that, right?
Yep, because
Like-
actually, like I have a stack. Hold on, I'll show you. Because like as I knock things over, yeah, like a lot of my books are short. Like I write a lot of thriller and fantasy, but we have Birchwood, Secrets in the Woods, Walls.
We can't see anything big because your background.
Yep. Let me fix that. Hold on. Because who cares if it's a mess back here? Okay. So we have this one, While She Sleeps, is like a short, one of my horror stories. Birchwood, the one that I read from today, short horror story, or well, fantasy story. Secrets in the Woods is like a fantasy and horror combo. Then I have In the Mirror, which is like based kind of on like Houdini and the Victorian belief of people being caught in mirrors. And that's another short one. Same thing, I have a vampire book. So this one's a short story.
Oh, I think I read that one.
Which one? Fairwing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you did too. I mean, I have most of my books, like the bigger ones, The Rays, which is like 200 pages.
I read The Rays too. Yeah.
Did you really?
Uh-huh.
I got a new cover for this and I'm redoing it and I'm totally like adding so much stuff into the design more than anything. So I'm really excited. But The Place She Lies is pretty short. This one's more like Pretty Little Liars. Dragon Keeper that I did for our romance thing because it's romance. It's a romantic-y kind of.
I've got that one. I'm gonna read that one soon.
Yeah, you've been reading that one. Yeah. The
I think I read that too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, oh, I just showed that one. Perfect. This one is actually based on a Melanie Martinez song, Dollhouse. And
I've been to her last two concerts.
Yeah, her songs inspire me so much with my thrillers.
Yeah.
Like I literally do this. Hide and Seek, also inspired by a song, and
it's one of my favorite songs by her. So
right, like
yeah.
It's so cool. And well, we have the Bunny Man, which in this one, people keep telling me that he gives them nightmares. So
Perfect.
I'm so happy, especially like there's this one scene where he actually like scales the house to get into the little girl's room.
Delicious. Give me
And
14.
yeah, it's crazy. And then Doll's Kill is like my reverse revenge. It's kind of hard to explain, but I wrote this one after my ex-boyfriend decided to like be psycho and leave because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get this out. So this one's actually, it's got 2 ex-boyfriends revenged in this one. But yeah, so this one's really cool and it's really twisted and a lot of people are surprised by the end of that one. This one just got a few ARC readers on it right now, but this one just came out. So that one is also short. And then The House She Haunts is kind of short. It's just under 200, but it's really close. And this is like a sad ending demonic possession type thing. And then The Circus Black is my first series. And this one is a dark fantasy romance. So yeah, I'm actually working on book 2, which takes place in World War II Paris.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I have to bail. I've got to go pick up my daughter and take her to finish doing the stuff we've got to do before we go back home tomorrow and leave them here.
Oh,
So
you're leaving your baby.
It'll be okay, Mama.
I know.
Brandy, I
But it was
really
great
loved
being
your
on.
reading. It was really
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah.
All
I
everybody.
can't wait to read the rest of it.
And
Thank
then
you.
all the Texans on here. This is awesome. So
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
Yeah.
I'm like a-
I'll
yeah.
see you guys
Perfect.
later.
Cute. Bye.
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 Hey, Cheryl, I wanted to tell you, I didn't get a chance to tell you when we were talking. I really love how I really love the brutality of the Greek mythology that you captured, because Greek mythology, I love Greek mythology. I've always loved it as a kid and growing up and stuff. And there's so much just stark brutality in it. And I love that you really captured that feeling, and to take a woman's perspective and to see how awful it would be to be in that position. I thought that was really great. So
It was palpable.
Yeah, that's a big part of the theme and a big part of it. And because there's a conversation in the book where she talks about the fact that because one of the things that in history is that we went from a matrilineal society to a patriarchal society when we switched to Olympians. And that's kind of when we start getting that shift. And when we went into a patriarchal society, the gods mimic what the rulers want. And, and so they want this control and this oppression and things like that. So, and so they're modeling, in the fantasy world, they're like, well, if the gods can get away with it, I can get away with it too, type attitude, and it's like, so these are my mentors. So obviously I'm going to emulate them. And you see that in there, you see that, with how the men react and how the rulers react and all that and everything. But there's this postulation that's constantly brought up. Just because it's the norm doesn't mean it's okay. And so that's something that reoccurs in the book constantly, is this discussion, and also discussion about how monster is a title and not specifically a race. And how and an underlying theme in the book is like, who is the real monster here? Who are the real monsters? It's, because it's
reverse,
yeah.
Usually the monsters are there to prop up the heroes in Greek mythology. They're there to be the challenge that they face or the test. I don't know if y'all ever read Dragonlance, but one
Oh yeah.
Richard A. Knack was one of my favorite authors, and he wrote a book called Kaz the Minotaur, and he took a race that was considered evil, even in TSR Dragonlance terms, and he turned it into one of the heroes of the book. And I just absolutely love that concept, that the reverse idea that a monster can be a hero, you know, and I loved, even though he was sort of despised by society, he became the best friend to the greatest hero in that you know mythos. So I just love that feeling. I felt like I was in Greece, you know, kind of
Yeah, yeah.
that. So I really love that.
Yeah, and I do that with several of there's talk about the, you know, matriarchal versus patriarchal rule, and, you know, the old gods versus the new Olympian gods. And one of the other things that is discussed is that whole monster thing again, because when you come across the harpies, the harpies, in if you pay attention to the role of the harpy in Greek mythology, they are also protectors and guardians and warriors as well. They are not monsters. They're assigned a job of protection more often than not. It's just the guy that showed up, he's the hero, so they look like the bad guy. so that's one of the other
Just
ones
'cause
that I
the
talk
hero
about.
can be the villain.
Yeah, you know, and that's all about perspective. Yeah.
And Amanda, you were asking about the short stories that I have. I can, if you follow me, I can send you the what is it called again, Tally? I'm still learning the
The
book.
book funnel.
I can send you a book funnel of those stories if you're interested. I can share a couple of them with you if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. That
Yeah,
sounds
I'm
great.
always looking for ARC readers, and not everyone's read all of those stories because I've read quite a few.
They're
So
good.
Yeah, just let me know. Like if
Yeah.
you guys need anything, like shoot me a
And I wrote-
message. I think I just followed you.
Oh,
This one, the James Michael Orr
Uh-huh.
on Facebook.
cool. Yeah, because I'll talk
Yeah.
about it all the
Well,
time. So
all the authors are in there. I have a post up there that they can put their links and stuff to for their websites.
I was having a little trouble linking it. It kept saying it might have been on my end, but it kept saying that I couldn't do it. So I don't know. Do you have to have permission to put links on that page in particular?
You shouldn't. It should let you, but I can hop on there and double check. Because
Yeah,
everyone should be able to post their link in the event.
I was trying to, and it kept not letting me for some. It was weird, you know, like
Let me go
It
in
could be
here and see if I
Facebook.
can.
yeah,
Yeah,
Facebook can be garbage
It
sometimes.
usually is Facebook. I'm gonna change something on it, or try to. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it'll let me change anything because it's technically an over. There's like this weird time on event pages where it won't let you do anything if the event is over, even if it's
Yeah.
not fully
Yeah.
over. And I think that's probably what it's doing right now because Facebook is dumb sometimes. And
Yeah. Yeah, you're not allowed to talk to each other after an event. Shame on you.
yeah, it's like it's so stupid, and you know, it just
Well, that's
I
okay.
don't know.
I mean, I can.
But I can also post your stuff if you want me to. Send it
Yeah, we
to me
can.
again, and I'll.
Let's find a meetup place, right? Because I
Yeah.
enjoyed meeting all these authors, and I'd like to.
Well, I do have a bigger page that. Well, I don't know if I'm going to keep it as a page or if I'm going to switch it around or something. But I want to do one for all of the Readers Break the Internet events, and then we'll just
Do
post
like a
the event.
group.
Yeah, like a group.
Yeah, you need to set up a group.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking because, like, the first event, it was just to see if there was any interest. And this one, you know, I mean, I think we all kind of, like, I think it wasn't as well advertised as it probably should have been. Just because things were getting a little disorganized this month for people.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
have another one planned for October for horror, like all scary stuff. Yeah. Big time. Oh my gosh. Okay. You guys didn't see it yet, but I have like these coffin bookmarks and everything for swag and
For the swag bag?
oh yes, I have a whole bunch, like a whole bag of coffin bookmarks. I have the world's cutest little ghost. Hold on, let me find them. I reorganized my stickers, so now everything is lost. Where are they?
I'm over here organizing my story thing.
I know, right? It's like you reorganize stuff and then you lose it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the heck? Okay, here they are. Yeah. Oh, okay. They're the cutest little like ghost stickers. And they're holding
I
little
love
books.
that. That's cool.
So yeah, my ex-husband, he's a graphic designer and he designed those for me. So I'm like, we have to have them.
Well, when you have people who actually buy tickets, then you've got quality readers, and that's better than quantity
Yeah.
followers.
Well,
So
and my thing is, getting readers connected. I mean, the whole point is really just to connect people, connect
Yeah.
authors and readers to each
Like I
other.
was really excited to connect with Lisa, like in that group. I was.
She's a hoot. She's
Oh my gosh, Lisa and Brandy and everybody, like, my goal, I want to be on a shelf. And Brandy's already done that. I'm like, help. Like I need
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
like, I think for the next event, it's going to be super hard, but I'm trying to get it better publicized and trying to get more organized with it. And I have access to a lot more authors right now because of that promotion. So I'm like a little bit nervous.
If you
on
have
that.
like a promo card, message it to me with like the link and stuff, and I can like put it out. And because I am like a rep for people, like for the shirt and stuff, and so I can send it in that group and be like, hey, because other people read horror.
Yeah,
and it's not
anywhere
just-
it
so
can
I
be
send
shared
it,
and
yeah.
spread and
Yeah.
all that and everything.
Well, and I had one, but I'm editing it because I'm gonna make it an hour earlier than this event for next time, just so people don't feel like they're rushing to get off, and especially because East Coast it's so late. In Arizona, we don't have daylight savings time. So when people are like, "Oh, let's do this at 5," it's like, okay, 5 in which time zone? Because I have no clue what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
Like what the hell, people? Where are we? Where are we at? So yeah, my ex is on the East Coast, so I'm always texting him like, okay, what time is it there when it's this time here? Like what time is 5 o'clock your time?
Yeah, I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah, so you get
So,
it, like
yeah.
Yeah, I'm always texting him. I'm like, are we 3 hours ahead or 3 hours behind you or 2 hours behind you? Like, where are we at? So I try to figure that out. I will eventually get the time down. And, I know a lot of people have been telling me Saturday is a great day, but then nobody shows up on a Saturday.
Well,
So
it's
like,
okay. I mean, even if you have not a lot of people on the event itself, you record it and then you share excerpts from it. That's the real
absolutely.
value
And
is
don't forget now